Hi everybody, I'm Pete Krupsky, the voice of USA Hockey's National Team Development Program. You're watching CTV Sports. Coming up next on CTV, it's the Sports Guys. With our good friends Steve, Chuck, and Rod. Don't miss it.
And good morning, welcome to another edition of the Sports Guys. And as you can see, we are not in Kansas anymore. We're here in the Edison Room for a special edition of the Sports Guys. It's Friday, June 27th, 2025. I'm here with my buds, Steve Bainey, Chuck Hiller,
Good day.
Rod Calgren, and guys, we have a special guest, Pete Krupsky from the National Team Development Program is going to be here. We've been pumping this up for a couple of weeks now, about a month. We were supposed to have a studio audience, but we only got 4 people. A couple of our old friends are here, and then our guest, Pete Krupsky, and his buddy, Tori Taylor, are in the live studio audience. That's about it. So come next month to our live taping and see who our special guest will be then. All right, guys, let's get into, we reached the halfway point of the Tigers season. And we are, what, 50 wins?
51.
51 wins
51.
At the halfway point, and people on Sports Talk Radio are saying, oh, what do we need to do at the trade deadline? So I ask you, what do we need to do at the trade deadline? Do we need a bat? Do we need some bullpen help? Do we need starting pitching? Thoughts?
I think don't screw up the chemistry, man. You got it all going on. Like, say, the other day, Schoolboy got touched up for 4 runs early, and the bats came alive and bailed them out. So, I mean, they got it all going on. When the pitching is down, the hitting is up. When the hitting is down, the pitching is up. So it's like perfect scenario.
And, you know, Schoolboy's been incredible, right? Jack Flaherty has had a couple of questionable starts.
Right.
Casey Mize has gotten roughed up a little bit, so maybe it is time to look for another arm in the starting rotation.
Yes.
But I think we need bullpen help. I think the
Well,
stars of the
we proved
bullpen
that.
from last year that took us on that incredible run at the end of the season have just been, I don't want to say lackluster because nobody's going to repeat what we did last year, but I think it's time to look at our bullpen and maybe shore up a little help there.
How about the one yesterday? Ends. He hadn't pitched since 21.
Yeah, that was incredible.
He was over in Russia for a while, for 2 years. Came
He
back
was in
here.
Russia. I heard he was in South Korea.
Well,
And
I
He
think
was
they're
probably
chasing
everywhere.
him all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, came back here. 5 strong innings.
But the last time he started, 2017,
Oh, okay.
Wow.
in the big leagues.
So it's been a while.
He's
Been a while.
rested a while, you're
It's
saying.
what was it, 1,370 days or something?
Wow, that's crazy.
Holy
Did
smokes.
any of
That's a
you
long time.
watch the Seattle Minnesota game the other night?
No.
The pitcher for Seattle was Brian Wu. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Well, in one inning, he had 10 pitchers for the 3 strikeouts that he had. He had like 25 strikes in 4 innings with a shutout. I mean, he was throwing strikes like they were going out of style. I mean, I never heard of him.
No.
No, me either.
But
They also had a pitcher who passed out on the mound at Seattle. Remember it 2 days ago.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah, he just got to him.
yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, Seattle doesn't get any of the publicity.
No, and I think
I
part of
mean-
the reason is they're on the West Coast.
I mean, it's like they're up in God's country. It's like nobody even knows
Yeah.
where's Seattle.
The Canadians like him more than the Americans, I
I would
understand.
say.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
like say, I mean, the Seahawks don't get any publicity. The Mariners don't get any publicity.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
the hottest catcher in baseball knocking.
Oh,
home
you're
runs.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't think of his name right now because, like you said, nobody pays attention to
Cal
him. Yeah, but
Riley, Cal Riley or something. Anyway, But yeah, nobody even knows they're there, man.
But they come through once in a while. They come
So-
through.
So the Tigers need to keep that run going through the All-Star break, and hopefully in September, October, we're still talking Tiger baseball, because
Boy, that would
that
be
would be
beautiful.
because 2 years in the playoffs in a row, and I think we might be able to make a World Series. So
You know, like I say, it seems like they just got the right chemistry right now. Everything is clicking. You know, it's like, yeah, just keep what you got and go with it, you know.
and it's AJ Hinch. That's his whole thing, is pulling the levers at the right times and
Because they're all,
using
I
his
mean, they're all
toolbox.
kids.
Right.
I mean, they don't have any big name players in the whole roster, you know.
Yeah.
And like I say, so I mean, if you're out there looking for an arm or a hit or a bat or whatever, it's like you're going to bring in one of these ego-tripping guys that wants a $200 million contract and all that kind of crazy stuff. So
I mean, they do
it's
have
like
that
this.
pizza money, so they could spend it.
I mean, you got it going on. Why mess with it?
Yeah. All right.
The new contract for Major League Baseball says that they can't have longer than 8-year
Really?
contracts as of today.
Wow.
8 years the most.
Well, that
So you gotta divide that whole bunch by 8. We used to be able to do 10, 11, 12, not
Yeah,
anymore.
because the NFL just mentioned the same thing. They don't want the guaranteed contracts after they gave Watson in Cleveland $230 million fully
fully guaranteed. Oh
fully
my.
guaranteed, $230 million, and he ain't doing squat. Hasn't done squat. No.
Double squat.
Yeah.
But that 8-year limit does help the Tigers in negotiating with Terry Skubal in a couple of years when his contract is
Yeah,
up. So
well,
Good luck with that.
He's talking already
Right.
quite
I was
strongly,
gonna say, you
isn't
better
he?
Yeah.
start saving your money.
all right, Steve, what do you got for us this morning?
Go back to the Tigers for a minute. They won on Tuesday for the 50th win, first team to 50 wins, and that was a game that Skubal got popped for 4 runs early, and then they came back to score 11. So it's like, hey, you know, life is good. And let's see, then on Wednesday they had that down day. I don't know why they always tend to lose the middle game.
It is weird, and I heard a stat on the radio, I think yesterday or the day before. They haven't won on a Saturday
That's right.
since
7
April something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
7 weeks in a row we've lost.
But like I say, they put up 11 runs on Tuesday, and they can't score 1 on Wednesday. But anyway, they came back on Thursday, and they won 8-0. So and like I say, that Ennis was kind of the story of the whole game. They pitched, like say, 5 innings, and
Yeah, yeah.
like I say, the guy was. I mean, this might be once in a lifetime, but he
Yeah.
had a heck of a game. Of course, they did have the NBA draft. And of course, everybody's favorite was Cooper Flagg, #1 pick to the Mavericks out of Duke, a freshman. And in the first 8 picks were all freshmen,
Wow.
Whoa.
and 18 freshmen in the first round. They had 4 players that all played on the same high school team.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
whoa.
kind of
They went 33-0 and won the national championship in the 23-24 season. Cooper Flagg was drafted #1. Derek Queen was drafted 13. Asa Newell was drafted 23. And Liam McNeely was drafted 29.
Wow.
It's like, man, that's some serious stuff. And the Pistons didn't even have a draft choice in the first round. So
Wow.
in the second round, they took Chaz Lanier, a guard
Yeah.
out of Tennessee.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
anybody
Okay.
knows what he's done. They showed some highlights of him, and he looked
Yeah.
like a shooter, so that's a good thing.
And did I hear this correctly? I heard somewhere that Cooper Flagg went into college a year early. He graduated high school in 3 years. Went into college early, so that makes him an 18-year-old going into the NBA.
Right. Yeah, because in fact, he's the second youngest. He was 8 days older than LeBron James.
Well, it's interesting, in the first 6, 2 of them were from Duke and 2 from Rutgers.
There you go.
Rutgers had a
is
good year last
Rutgers
year.
that good?
Yeah, they had a decent year last year.
Yeah, no doubt
Playing
about
in the
that.
Big Ten schedule. I think Michigan lost to them.
Yeah,
I don't know if state lost to them or not, but I know they won a couple of big games in the Big Ten schedule, so they had a really good year last year.
You'd think that with all the kids to pick from, that getting two in the first six for two different colleges was
Just impossible.
Yeah, because I heard that Duke.
unbelievable.
Yeah, because I heard that Duke got a 7'2" center from somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah,
That hasn't been confirmed, but
yeah,
you did.
but had not been.
7'2" to replace Cooper Flag.
How's the
Yeah,
weather up
yeah,
there?
that's it. Check the weather for sure. Gotta have sinus issues breathing
Yeah,
way
right.
up there.
And imagine playing for the Nuggets, being 7'2", you'd be way up there.
Oh, you know? Yeah, like I say, I mean, it's pretty crazy for sure.
All right, Chuck, what you got for us this
Okay,
morning?
we're going to talk about a couple of things that I really came on the committee for, and that is One Finance. As of yesterday, PayPal is going to be the implementation to pay for all the images of all the colleges, you know, their money that they get.
Oh.
And it's a titanium card with the logo of your university on it. Now, can you imagine such a thing of walking around? It's a debit card. You know, maybe it's 800,000 and maybe $20. You never know. But PayPal will start to do that. And I can see nothing but a caste system after this. This guy's got a card. He probably is on a scholarship, a full ride. He's not paying anything anyway. Now he's got this titanium card for what, 8,000, 9,000? That was the average.
Yeah, who knows what.
But others are way up over that.
Right.
Can you imagine the caste system in college? He doesn't have to go to class.
No.
He's got private tutors for everything besides. Meanwhile, the poor nurses, the people dealing with monetary situations, the people who are into political situations, they're paying the big price. Personally, I know it cost $190,000 for me for one child to go through, to not be able to get a job because they sliced everything off. Can you imagine that caste system? What's going to be that guy's got the money? He's either going to have all the buddies in the world, or
You better
he's going to
Probably
get something
so.
wrong there.
Yeah, I
And
think
the
he's gonna
second
have a
thing I
lot of
wanted to
friends.
talk about is the rocket mortgage. The first time it ever happened, 14th hole, chips it, goes up in the air, comes down, hits a tarp, falls into a cart with a 20-foot crane on it for the camera. What do? They have it for everything else. They never thought of this. It fell right into the, I understand, the little pocket thing where you put your drinks. That's where the ball went. After a while, they scratched and scrubbed, and they finally figured out, let's call that cart a person. And now, under the rules there, you ask the person to move over. The guy steps right where the ball landed, and then he drops it. But this cart, of course, flattened the ground totally and really made it easy on him to do a par.
And that course is pretty easy to begin with over
And to give
in
him
Detroit.
that little thing there. But the first in Detroit again, we're so proud
Well,
of
we
that.
have a lot of firsts, don't we?
And the only other thing in racing is that what I've always spoken about, Formula One being so perfect, everything down to you have to have a particular length of magnesium screw in the bottom with that piece of wood so that sparks show. And now they're finding out that there's more to it than that. Maybe there's little things inside in their system of delivering gasoline in there. And now a big one just came out today. They're questioning the gasoline that they're using. Maybe they have kind of spunked it up a little bit somehow with some races. And of course they all use it out of the same tank. But of course, if you know that it can be changed slightly, you can get maybe 2 or 3 miles per gallon more out of it. So now another big stink about that. Besides that, Mr. Penske, who owns half of this world anyway, and all the race things, he had to fire his whole bunch after Indianapolis when they found out that they were, shall we say, pushing things the wrong way, such as having two pieces of metal coming together, and you're supposed to have that little V in there. What they did is they filled it in with epoxy glue so that it was smooth all around. And they figured it probably was less than 1 mile faster by doing that. But he got caught. You can't do, no putting in epoxy. It's got to be the other way. And so he had to fire the whole team out of it. Wow. But anyway, that's racing. And if they don't have trouble with their tires, now we got the gasoline thing to talk about, and we will go on all the time having fun.
All right, Rod, what do you have for us today?
Well, the big thing around here is the Rocket Classic at the Detroit Golf Club. And they finally started, even though they had some pretty bad weather. And they've gotten the first round finish, and there's a bunch of names leading that you probably never heard of.
Right.
And the leaders at 10 under are Kevin Roy and Aldrich Potgeider. Now, if that number is any indication, it's going to be a wild tournament, because we're just finished with the tournament that was won at like 200 par for 4 rounds. Can you imagine finishing, I don't know, 30 under?
Yeah. You know, I had one of my buddies said that the Detroit Golf Club course is so easy, they should maybe throw a windmill or two in there just to see what, you know.
That's a nasty one there.
That's kind of cruel, you know.
Now, they have a contract through 26, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, it seems to be some question if they're going to come back, right?
Well, I think on a tournament like this, there's always some question about returning, but Detroiters support those local tournaments pretty well, so they're gonna make some money on it, and I think the chances of coming back are pretty good.
Okay.
I think they need Morikawa to come out and start leading them back. That'll kind of draw some attention.
They need a couple more big names.
Yeah, or Fowler, yeah.
The problem is with the way the schedule is, now everybody's amping up towards the Open, the British Open.
That's it.
So this is their natural week off before prep.
The Open is the 17th of July.
Right.
And the week before that is the Scottish Open. And a lot of players, for the U.S. players that play in the Open, usually go out and play in the Scottish Open to get their body clock in sync and get used to the grass and the weather over in the UK.
So it's
There you go.
But then we're leading up to the Ryder Cup, which is coming up this year in the U.S.
Okay.
And that's in September. So that'll be exciting.
All right, we'll look forward to that, and we'll look forward to when we come back. We'll have Pete Krupsky joining us, who is the voice of the National Team Development Program in Plymouth, Michigan, and former voice of the Plymouth Whalers. That's when we come back here on Sports Guys on CTV. We'll be right back. Welcome back to a very special edition of the Sports Guys. We're on the road in the Edison Room, and we are joined now by our special guest, Pete Krupsky. Pete, thanks for being on the program.
Thanks for the opportunity. Great to be here.
Yeah, we're here to talk about the National Team Development Program, Team USA's hockey's program in Plymouth, Michigan. And Pete, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background and what led you to your position with USA Hockey?
Well, I'll keep it short. It was 1984. I was working full-time in a refining plant laboratory. I had just completed an associate's degree in science. One of my buddies said to me, hey, if I ever get on the air, you're coming with me because you know everything about sports. And I said, Mark, have another beer, it'll never happen. About a month later, he said, what do you know about high school hockey in Michigan? And I said, not a whole lot. He said, well, you're coming on with me. So we started doing, this is back, and maybe you guys remember, when cable first started, you usually subscribed to a local cable company and you got a box and it had all the channels and everybody was happy, but they also had a local access channel which covered high school sports and everything in the local community, and that's how I got my start, calling high school hockey games specifically for Riverview Gabriel Richard.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm a local guy. I'm a lifelong Detroiter, live in the Downriver area. So I started with high school hockey for about 4 years, and it was a lot of fun. But high school hockey season ends mid-March, and I really had the bug right then. I wanted to get into a second career of broadcasting. And again, I was working full-time. I don't know if you know where Southwest Detroit is, a very dirty area, working in a laboratory. I'd work my shift and then I'd go call a hockey game. Married with a child at the time too, so my wife was not real happy. But I decided I wanted to branch out, and there's a local team in town. And back then you didn't have the internet, you didn't have what we have now. So there was a team in Dearborn called the University of Michigan of Dearborn. And the cool thing about the Wolves at the time was a lot of the high school players that I had covered were now at the University of Michigan at Dearborn. So I applied there, roughly 1987, and they hired me as their play-by-play guy. And then I continued to get the bug. So I'd done some work for CompuWare Corporation, and they had one of the top youth programs in the country. Peter Carmanos owns the CompuWare youth program. So in 1990, he got an Ontario Hockey League expansion franchise, known then as the Detroit CompuWare Ambassadors. They later moved to Plymouth, and now they're in Flint as the Flint Firebirds. But back then in 1990, I must have called the CompuWare offices close to every day. Hey, I want to work for you guys, I want to work for you guys. And one day, Jim Rutherford, who's now with the Vancouver Canucks, former Red Wing goaltender, called me and said, stop calling us, stop bugging us, we'll find something for you to do. So they hired me as their second in the booth. And they liked my work, and so then they said, after year one, if we ever get a radio contract, you're going to be our play-by-play guy. And it didn't happen for about 5 years. I was doing other things, broadcasting for other teams. But in 1996, the team moved to Plymouth at a building then called CompuWare Sports Arena. And I was hired as their voice. And I was part of that until they were sold in 2015. So in 2015, the Whalers were sold, moved to Flint. At that time, USA Hockey had the National Team Development Program based out of Ann Arbor, and they wanted to expand their operation. And Pete Carmanos could have sold the arena to somebody else, but he wanted to keep the building in hockey. So he worked with the USA Hockey Foundation, and USA Hockey moved their National Team Development Program to where they are now at USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth. So they've been there, we're starting our 11th year now there. So I've been fortunate, broadcasting 40 years, play-by-play, almost all of that. I love what I do. I also freelance for Schoolcraft College. I do high school, or not high school, I do men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, and volleyball as well. So
That'll
I
keep
keep
you
busy.
busy.
I do keep busy. So in a nutshell, and I didn't want to take up too much of my time, that's how I ended up where I am now.
And just on a personal note, I've been listening to Pete call games practically my entire life, watching the Whalers games, and you and Sean Belesian.
Yeah.
I'd come home from school and it'd be airing on whatever
Yeah.
local station, and catch you and Sean calling games, and it kind of got me started in wanting to do this, just looking at a local production and seeing, oh, that they can do it here, I can get involved in that. So
We actually worked with the Schoolcraft College Sports Network from like 2005 until, well, they went 2 or 3 years with the NTDP as well. But I still work for the Schoolcraft College Sports Network, again, doing volleyball, basketball, and soccer. So you develop these relationships over many years. But thank you for tuning in.
yeah, of course. And so let's get into a little
Yeah.
bit about what the NTDP is, because I started working for you guys a couple of years ago, and before then it was just, oh, that's where the Whalers used to play. I really had no idea what exactly the relationship was with USA Hockey, with the Olympic team.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about what the programs are at the arena.
So we have 2 teams called the National Team Development Program, often called Team USA. We have a U17 team, which is ages 16 going on 17, and a U18 team, which is ages 17 going on 18. They both play in a league called the United States Hockey League, which is comparable to the Ontario Hockey League or the Quebec Major Junior League. Our older team also plays against NCAA Division I teams. So they will play Michigan State, the Michigan State Spartans, not a club team. They will play the University of Michigan.
Wow.
They will play 16 games against these top NCAA Division I teams. And I've seen from personal experience, they do pretty well. I mean, they don't win every game, but they're at 500. And again, they're always playing up in age. These guys, again, 17 going up against most NCAA college teams. The average freshman is 21, 22 years old. So, and it doesn't phase our guys. The most extreme example I can think of, Jack Hughes, who's now with the New Jersey Devils. We brought him up to the U18 team. He was 16 years old. We played a Division III team, and their oldest player was 27 years old. So a 16-year-old against a 27-year-old. Now, if you're in the National Hockey League, you don't even think about that.
Right.
A 23-year-old versus a 35-year-old. But our guys relish the challenge. Almost all of them are going to play in NCAA Division I hockey, so they get fired up to play a team that they may play for next year or 2 years down the road. So it's, in a nutshell, that's what we have every year. We have a U17 team playing mostly against USHL teams, a U18 team that plays a hybrid schedule between international competition, NCAA teams, and the USHL.
And one of the great examples I can think of a player that played for the NTDP and now is playing in college is Trey Augustine,
Yep.
who
Trey-
was a pick by the Red Wings,
Yep.
who's in the Red Wings system now, but he's playing at Michigan State.
Yep. And he's probably the top college goaltender in the NCAA now. Now, Red Wing fans are saying, well, why don't you sign with the Red Wings? He decided he wanted to play a third year at Michigan State. And to be fair, Michigan State has one of the top teams in the country. So it's not like he's going somewhere where he's going to be playing for a last place hockey team. I mean, they're in the top 5 of the NCAA Division I teams. So the usual path for our guys, 2 years at the NTDP, you move to the NCAA, and if you're drafted in the NHL, then you start your pro career. That's how that usually works.
Then about 2 weeks ago, the Detroit High School Athletic Association passed out their annual awards.
Yeah.
And for hockey, it was Nolan Kaminsky from Plymouth, Salem.
Yep.
Have you seen him play?
I've seen him play. We do not play high school hockey teams. If you were to watch a high school hockey game and say a USHL game, there are differences. USHL, bigger, faster, stronger. They play 20-minute periods versus 17-minute periods. And it's ironic you say that because Detroit Catholic Central plays in our building. They're one of the top teams in the not only in the state, but in the country. Yeah. And but they do not play our teams. They don't practice. It's a totally separate brand of hockey. Both very good. Oh, okay. But high school hockey versus, say, the USHL, bigger, faster, stronger. Players are older. They can have players up to 20 going on 21, where your high school hockey senior is 18.
Yeah,
So
probably 16, 17.
correct. So our guys are younger. It doesn't faze them. They don't care. And maybe early as a U17 team, they might get beat. They might go through losing streaks. But going up against bigger, faster, stronger teams, they get better in a hurry. And you usually see a great difference between the U17 year and the U18 year. In fact, our U18 team this year, as at the time we're recording, is up for the NHL draft. And most of those guys are going to be picked somewhere in the NHL draft.
So let's talk a little bit about the draft. As we say, as of today, taping this, tonight's the draft. Talk a little bit about some of the prospects coming out of the NTDP and the USHL as a whole. What should we look forward to tonight?
Well, the top guy from the NTDP that's going to get taken, he played 2 years for us, and this year he played at Boston College. His name is James Haggins. Yeah. Now, one point I want to make, this is a national team. These are not local guys. I mean, James Haggins comes from Long Island, New York. Oh. And he's going to go somewhere in the, I would say, top 10. He's probably the top guy. He went into the season, many people were considering him to be the top player, the #1 pick in the draft, but he's somewhere in 1 to 10. Another player, a defenseman, is Logan Hensler. He plays for the University of Wisconsin. He played for us for 2 years, from Wisconsin, went to the University of Wisconsin. He's probably going to go top 20. Some of the other players, and I have to have my list here because we got so many. One of my favorites is Cole McKinney out of Chicago. Played for the Chicago Mission, and he's a right-handed shot. He's ranked 33rd by Central Scouting. We have an international player, dual citizen, Will Moore. And Will Moore is ranked 32nd by Central Scouting. He had a choice to play in Canada or the United States because he's a dual citizen. He's a dual citizen. He decided to play with us.
Nice.
And we do have that every once in a while where it's a dual citizen situation. One of our players from last year, E.J. Emery, was a dual citizen. Played for us for 2 years. Played last season at the University of North Dakota. First round pick of the New York Rangers.
Wow.
So all of these guys are highly rated. They're highly scouted over, depending on the game and the event. we could have up to 32 NHL teams in our building. Not just the Red Wings. I know this is a Red Wing territory, I get that, but we work for all 32 NHL teams. We have a world-class training facility in our building. So during the summertime, we get all kinds of NHL guys, and it's not just Red Wings. It could be, last year I saw Rasmus Dahlin of the Buffalo Sabres. Ville Husso was a Red Wing goaltender. He was just looking to find the training center one day. I was going from point A to point B in the rink, and he says, where do I go? So you meet these NHL guys all the time in our building. So it's not just the Red Wings. We work with all NHL teams.
So I've got to start walking around the building a little more,
Yeah.
is what you're telling me.
You go down the training center, you will see all kinds of different people. I mean, it really is amazing, and it's really a testament to our staff and the training facility. They know they're going to get, you know, the work that they need. The Hughes brothers, Luke, Quinn, and Jack. They grew up around this area. They use our facility on a regular basis. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, along with their father, working out in the training center and on the ice.
Wow, that's cool.
What about the medical situation for those younger teams? Is there an insurance plan?
Yeah, everything's paid for.
Wow.
Everything's paid for. The equipment is paid for. The insurance is paid for. We have at least 2 full-time medical people on staff all the time. One is traveling with the U17 team. One works with the U18 team. But they both work together.
Yeah. And it's paid for.
Yeah, everything's paid for. So all the equipment's paid for, all the sticks are paid for, whatever they need. We also work, you know, these guys are going to school too. They have to go to school because 80% of our guys go to NCAA Division I colleges. So we work with the Michigan International Prep School, which is an online company which has been very, very helpful for us. Helps keep our guys in line academically. It helps them down the road in the future, but that's how they get their schooling. So they come in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. They have a conference room, which is set up as a classroom. They get their schoolwork done. Usually by 11:30, they take a little break, and then they go out on the ice. Sometimes if they're not on the ice, they're down in the training center. So it's a busy time. It's not for everybody. It is not for everybody. But most of our guys are in for the 2-year term, and they move on to play college hockey.
And it's really interesting to hear you walk through that whole schedule, because I show up at a game and we see how great
Sure.
they are on the ice, but you don't know the rest of the day was grinding it out year after year, you know, mom and dad taking you to CompuWare hockey or
Sure.
Little Caesars hockey, and then you get this product that they're going to get chosen in the NHL draft tonight, and it's just amazing to think about that whole trajectory.
Well,
for a kid.
part of the routine is to get them used to college hockey. So it's very similar to what they're going to find in college hockey, where they go to Michigan, Michigan State, North Dakota, Boston College, or all of these. It's going to be very, very similar. So by the time they get there, not only are they developed as players, but they're developed away from the ice too. And so it's an easy transition for them, for most of them anyway.
Has there been any changes in the equipment over the years?
Oh, sure.
Anything major? I mean, just,
Oh, sure.
what kind of thing?
Well, everything is lighter. The sticks used to be all wood.
Yeah.
Now they're composite. You could buy a stick for $15 and use it. Now most sticks are at least $350.
Oh my gosh.
So, everything is better. Our rinks, we have 2 rinks. One is an NHL rink, which is NHL size. The boards are NHL compliant. The glass is NHL compliant. We also have an Olympic size rink, which is longer and wider in a similar fashion. So when one of our teams is going to go play international competition, they will practice on the Olympic ice. So.
That's impressive.
Now the ice, I hear when they go to different arenas,
Yeah.
ice is soft sometimes
Yeah.
and that. What do we run? Do we run the hard stuff here?
Yeah, we have a full-time staff that keeps our ice in pretty good shape. Now, today, where it's 90 degrees, it might be a little soft, but
We may have fog above it,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
But you know, our staff does a terrific job, and full credit to them.
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right, so before we move on, I have the trivia question for you guys. And Pete, we'll see if you know this too. How many players from the University of Michigan have played for the National Team Development
I
Program?
know that answer.
All right, we'll talk about the upcoming schedule, and U of M, I believe, is on the upcoming schedule. So, Pete, why don't you walk us through some of the marquee games for this season?
I believe we sent you a graphic, but again, our schedule is United States Hockey League teams and NCAA teams. We also have a couple of international competitions, like a 4 nations or 5 nations tournament, where Team Sweden will come in, Team Finland comes in, Team Czechia. If you don't know, it used to be known as the Czech Republic. It's now Czechia. And the scouts love it because they get to see all these international players play against our team. So we have a couple of those coming up, one in August and one in February. Some of our college games at USA Hockey Arena this year. We've got the University of Notre Dame coming in. Wow. We play them pretty much every year. We either play them at USA Hockey Arena or at Compton Family Ice Arena in South Bend. And our players love playing these Division I teams. We have Ferris State coming in. We have Lake Superior State coming in. We've got one of the best Division III programs that is in not only, they're one of the best Division Team 3 not only in Michigan, but in the country, Adrian College.
Oh,
If you check them out, and I know you guys do a lot of research, look at how successful Adrian College is. But they'll be in our building, let's see, the date is going to be January the 9th. So it's a unique schedule. Again, the USHL is very similar to any team you'll find in the Canadian Hockey League. You can get tickets by calling 734-453-8400. Part of my broadcast, I got to get that plug in.
At least 7 or 8 times.
Well, my record is 21.
Oh my. So before we go, I just want to say you can watch some of these games from USA Hockey Arena right here on CTV on the weekends. We'll air some various games at various times throughout the season once we get going. And then, like you said, you can call and get tickets. What's that number again?
734-453-8400.
We got to get him some practice before the season starts. All right, so let's go down the line and answer the trivia question. How many players from Michigan have played for the NTDP? Rod, you have a guess?
I have the vaguest notion.
Okay.
Chuck?
7.
Steve?
15.
Now, are you talking guys that played the University of Michigan?
Yeah.
The University of Michigan, yep.
I know that answer.
And the answer is?
66.
66,
Oh,
including
ouch.
the Red Wing captain, Dylan Larkin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Including JT Comfer, including Andrew Kopp.
Including everybody that's anybody.
Yeah, kind of.
Not everybody cares for Kopp or Comfer. They'd like to see
Well.
him traded.
Yeah, we'll leave that to Mike Valeni to talk about that stuff.
Yes.
All right, thanks for tuning into this special edition of the Sports Guys. Pete, thanks again for coming in. Tori, thanks again for coming in. And we will see you guys next week. And don't forget, Carol Wolfbauer will be our guest next month for our summer series. And we will see you next week.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pete Krupsky, the voice of USA Hockey's National Team Development Program. You're watching CTV Sports.